More on
Welcome to the Flux Lora Hackathon! Woo! Woo! So it is actually a historic moment. We've had Stable Diffusion. Stable Diffusion came and went. We trained Dream Booth models, we trained Flux models, but none of these were totally indistinguishable from reality. And so it is a pleasure to hang out with you all 1 week after FAL has launched their Flux trainer, 1 week and a half after Replicate has launched their Flux Lora trainer, to create the first projects that are totally photorealistic custom images of anybody. And if you're like me, you've just been fascinated by the quality of Flux. I know that you've all seen the Twitter photos of people standing, giving presentations as though real. The Turing test for images took a lot longer to pass in my mind than the the text test, but in practice it has been passed. And so the hacks that you guys create today will be some of the first projects with the viral potential of a Lensa, with the sort of insane potential of video generation that looks totally photorealistic. So super stoked to have y'all. I guess a brief introduction. My name's Jeremy. Welcome to AGI House. We have a storied history of bringing the creators of great technologies, and so today we have Edward Hu, the creator of Lora at Lora Hackathon. Here, right? In a moment, he will give us a fantastic talk about what it was like to invent Lora. But in general, the AGI House history is bringing people like Robin Rumbach, who created Stable Diffusion and actually Flux, to a hackathon to hack on Stable Diffusion or Flux. And so it's a really special moment in time where we get to create new apps with the people who have created the technology, which is likely to shape the world. So years to come, I predict that this technology will be deemed as a moment where things change for a very long time. A few ideas. So basically the frame behind the hackathon is create something of high quality. We have a number of incredible prizes, and Swix has deigned to allocate them. But basically, Replicate has a sort of best use of Replicate prize and a research prize. The research challenge is basically asking whether the parts of the Flux model that you can change can be targeted. So if you target the neurons for creating the faces that are these images with something like VLoRa, there's a Replicate prize for that type of research. FAT will be allocating a prize. So they have a lightning fast, real-time generation process. They're fantastic engineers. And there's also a fast LoRa training process, which in my mind opens up new types of product for creation. And then sort of on the house, we have a maximum revenue prize. So if you create a project today and launch it to paying customers, whoever makes the most money will win the revenue prize. There's a real-time interactive prize. So if I'm in the middle of a prompt battle app that is basically using FAL to do real-time Flux generations to see who can create the image that's most like an image that we're competing over, that kind of project can win the real-time prize. Biggest reach. So if your tweet blows up, then you can win the biggest reach prize. And in general, we would like all of your presentations to be public in a way that has the chance to go viral, make your project huge, make you huge, and cite the house. And then top project prize winner, this is your standard, like whoever wins the highest quality Flux Lora prize. And then the best mobile app. So if you guys aren't familiar with Lensa, it's really simple. It's basically a custom model trained on your images, but it works on your mobile phone. And because it's mobile, it went viral in a fantastic way. And they made some like $16 million on this super simple mobile app, which feels creatable almost in a weekend. And my roommate Kyle was just telling me a story. People made a custom dog app, and they made it in about a day and a half. And it blew up to sort of like the 60 million person user group, and it was huge. So mobile is a great way to get inside of people's lives and worlds, and is where a lot of their photos are stored. So looking forward to it. the brief overview of what we'll get. So the creator of Lora, Edward Hu, is going to give a brief talk. Then Burkay is the creator of FAL. Okay, fantastic, you made it. Is going to talk about real-time and really high-quality Lora creation using Flux Lora. We have Gandalf from Replicate, the fellow over here, who has workshops. And so to be clear, like both Gandalf and Burkay's talks will require you have your laptop at the ready. Everyone in the room is expected to get a Lora up on both Replicate and on FAL during this set of talks. So have in mind some images that you'd like to basically put into a zip file and throw into their platform. It's super, super simple. I guess on Replicate, it literally takes like 3 minutes. Similar story on FAL can take like 3 to 5 minutes, basically. So hopefully everyone's prepped to create their own custom APIs on the fly. And that way everyone hits the ground running when we actually create projects. And then Nebius is our compute sponsor. So Justin from Nebius has compute access ready. So if you're trying to do something like win the research prize, you'll be able to use their compute to do it. Train custom models or custom forms of Lora kind of thing. And then if you are interested, come give a lightning talk about your project to the crowd so that anyone who wants to work with you can hear about your project and work on it with you. Cool. Any questions about all of that? Sound good?
Some people may need Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. Wi-Fi is attention is all you need. Wi-Fi is AGI house. The password's attention is all you need. And a shout out to the fantastic paper from 2017. Okay. I think that's everything. Yeah, some last words. So before it comes up, I guess man, I think it's hard to even describe how impactful this is. So for movie generation, all of the characters in your movies can be customized, and you can do long-form movie gen. Similar story, so I run a company called Omniscience. We do book generation. The illustrations of the characters can now all be correct in that the same character appears over and over again over the course of the book. And a lot of the stuff in the next 4 to 5 months is going to hit like total realism. So it just does feel like a really fantastic moment. I personally have a ton of ideas that anyone can run with, but some advice for Hackathon. So parallelism is great, especially if you're using Replicate. It'll take a little longer to create your images, so make sure to use parallelism. Certainly, like if you guys can figure out multi-Lora, that'd be incredible. I think it's huge for both illustration and scenes and movie generation. But be thinking about effective training processes, about games that can be made where you're competing with other people in real time to make high quality images, about how to go mobile first, and about really how to make extensions to convert existing image sources like Instagram or Reddit into customized variants of themselves. I think there's just an incredible opportunity, and a lot of the stuff hasn't been seen before. So do get creative because you are on the frontier. And with all that said, thanks a lot, and let's hear from the creative Lora. Edu, let's hear it for Edu.
I want to thank Jeremy for having me here. It's always good to be back here and with you all seeing everybody building. It's always great energy. And today, Jeremy initially actually asked me to, hey, Edward, can you tell us about how to best use Lora? So today I'm not going to pretend that I actually know how to use Lora better than any of you guys. I might be the first person ever to have used Lora and have chosen some of the initial hyperparameters that some people somehow, for some reason, are still using today. But I think a lot of you at this point have much more experience than me actually using Lora. And I'm an AI researcher. For those of you who are seeing me for the first time, I started doing research about 7 years ago when I was an undergrad, and then went to Microsoft Research, went to Montreal for my PhD, and most recently I was a researcher at OpenAI. And as a researcher, I'm irredeemably promiscuous. And I like to work on a project for 2 years and then jump to a completely different project and make some progress there and change to something else. So I started in paraphrasing and then worked on adversarial examples, then adapting large language models, theories of deep learning, and most recently reasoning. So I haven't actually been thinking about the science and the follow-ups for LoRa for a while, but today I hope to achieve 3 things. So I love to, because we're going to spend some time using LoRa today, I'd love to just entertain you guys with a story of how we came up with the technique, how it came to be what it is today. And also just for some of you, maybe hopefully I'll deepen your technical understanding a little bit. There could be some cool ideas that didn't cross your mind before. And finally, I'd like to share with you some of the lessons I learned having created this technology that is a lot bigger today than I expected. So I'm going to take you first back in time, about a year ago. So I was in Montreal doing my PhD with Joshua Bengio and the focus was on reasoning. So it was like reasoning was my bread and butter. And then I got an email from someone basically telling me, hey, you suck because LoRa is a different thing in CS and that's very confusing. And kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, okay, well, I told him, okay, I understand that. Like, hopefully, it's not too confusing. And then it turns out it's not just one person. There's actually a whole group who is demanding the same thing. That is, it's very confusing. Please change the name. And that's when I realized last year, this repo that I created for the paper, I wrote actually back in 2021 was on the front page of Hacker News. And I think a lot of you here, that might be the first time you've heard of LoRa earlier last year, but actually LoRa was a paper that I wrote with my co-authors back in 2021 when I was a researcher at Microsoft Research. So here, I'm gonna take you guys back to when it was first created. It was back in 2021, just forever ago, when GPT-3 just came out and Microsoft and OpenAI started doing this collaboration. And I was on the team at Microsoft that actually interfaced with OpenAI, and we were able to get our hands on GPT-3 before anybody else. And we saw the potential of it, but also we saw the need really for this model to be fine-tuned for it to actually achieve good performance. And at the time, there were 2 mainstream approaches for fine-tuning models. One is called adapter. Adapter tuning came out back in 2019. I don't know if anyone remembers this. And also there is prefix tuning. Anybody here has heard of prefix tuning or have used it? Okay, a few of you. So these were the dominant approaches at the time where you have a large language model, but you don't want to fully fine tune. So we started there, and it turns out they all have their shortcomings. For example, adapter tuning, you can still use it today. However, and it's very performant because you can just make your adapter really big. However, the problem is you're effectively adding new layers into your existing network. And then if you have a 120 layer transformer, in a way you are making it 240 layers. And for latency sensitive applications, that's pretty bad. For prefix tuning, it's super cheap. However, the performance is simply not there. As you scale up the number of special tokens, the prefix tokens, you're actually not getting monotonically better performance. So we're like, okay, we need a better solution. We have this model that nobody else has. We gotta try, we gotta invent something new here for the particular use case we had within Microsoft. And turned out that became a use case that all of us have now, but we were lucky to have had it 3 years ago. And the breakthrough came when we had a realization, okay, what if what prefix tuning was doing was just modifying the weights in a low-ranked way? And here you have 2 prefixes, and what if that actually, because those prefix tokens are 1D vectors as opposed to 2D matrices, what if that's actually corresponding to a direction, like a singular, corresponding to a singular value? So that's kind of the theoretical motivation there, and we tested it. It's super straightforward to implement, and it just worked. So today, when I explain to people what LoRa is, I like to use this following framework. So LoRa actually generalizes fine-tuning by asking 2 questions. And here I have a generic-looking neural network. And LoRa first asks, okay, do I actually need to adapt all of the parameters? Here I have my attention layer, I have my MLP layer. What if I can just get away with attention? Or maybe just the biases. Anyway, that's the first question to ask. Second is, how expensive do these updates need to be? Say I have, so all of these parameters for the most part are dense matrices. Do I actually need to update the whole dense matrix, or I can just update a simplified version of it? And there are many ways to simplify it, and low rank decomposition is one that kind of strikes the balance of simplicity and expressivity. And once you have these 2 questions, what you have now is actually two axes on a 2D plane. So here you have on the x-axis, are you adapting the entire weight? Meaning here full rank updates if you choose rank as a dimension of reduction, or you can go all the way to the left, which is you don't do any updates at all. And then any point along the line would be a particular rank. And then on the y-axis, you have the first question, which is, do we update all the parameters or just a subset? And Lora full fine-tuning is all the way in the corner. You update all the parameters with the entire matrix, so it's full rank. So Lora is actually this entire plane, this entire 2D plane. You can have points outside of the plane, but it doesn't make much sense empirically. And what the real breakthrough of the paper, in my opinion, is not that, hey, you can do this. It's pretty obvious. But what wasn't obvious was, turns out you can actually take a point super close to the origin, which is much cheaper for GPU3 175B variant. It was up to 10,000 times cheaper in terms of number of parameters, and hence the storage overhead. And that works. And that wasn't a given. But also what's really cool, if you have this framework, is if it doesn't work, all you gotta do is to move towards this guy, because if this guy works, as you move closer to this corner, it's gonna work at some point. But more often than not, it works in this region. So in practice, this is the initial result that was in the paper. For full fine-tuning on GPT-3, the largest variant, you gotta have almost 100 V100s to start training, whereas if you have Lora, you cut it down to less than a third. And then the checkpoint sizes become much smaller, and you can see this for diffusion models, video models as well. And before, it might take a minute to switch models, but now it just takes seconds. And these benefits, turns out, it's not limited to language models. Part of it is because for diffusion models and other domains, we're still using transformers. So this makes Lora very generalizable. But actually, the core idea of Lora, as long as you're doing matrix multiplication, as long as you're doing not even just fully connected layers, even for convolutional layers, you can enroll them into block matrices. As long as you have matrices, you can do Lora, because you can lower the rank of that matrix when you adapt it. So next up, I'm going to talk about some cool properties of Lora that we thought of at the time, and many of them has been implemented in various instantiation, but some of them might be new to you. Number one is that Lora has this option to completely eliminate latency, and the way you do it is, because you're not actually modifying the architecture, you're just saying that the update to a particular weight matrix is now going to be decomposed. So if you don't care about batching, what you can do is actually multiply out the update. So you have those two small matrices, you expand them out into the full matrix, add it back to the full matrix of the original weight, and then you're done. You're just doing inference pass as usual, literally guaranteed no latency. And by the time when you need to switch to a different module, you do the reverse operation and subtract. There are some precision issues you need to be careful about, but this is an option that's not available to something like Adapter. And like Jeremy mentioned before, you can use Lora in batch mode for both training and inference, super efficient. And also now, because the module is so small, you can cache a lot of them in RAM, and therefore eliminate a lot of the latency when you have to retrieve a model from disk. And finally, this is something I thought was super cool at the time when I came up with the idea back in 2021. I haven't seen a great implementation of it. Maybe in some big companies they have, which is you can have a hierarchy of Lora models. You start with a larger rank for something maybe you're adapting to a particular language, and then different domains, and then different applications, and then maybe specific organizations and even specific users. Now we need to switch models, you need to traverse the tree without having to go from the root in the beginning, especially when you have a lot of depth. So finally, I want to share with you guys what I've learned having created this and having seen it grow. And I started doing research in academia. When I was at MSR, it was still very, my mindset was still very academic. And for a while, I didn't even think that this paper, Lora, was going to be a publishable paper because the idea was just so simple. And my lesson there is that academia doesn't always award the right trade-off in terms of simplicity and usability, and Lora, in fact, when it was first submitted to a conference, it was rejected because it was too obvious, too simple. And later, we argued that it's actually, the result is very surprising, adding more experiments, and it got in as a poster. And it was only a few years later people realized the impact. So academia, and I think there's more reason to why some of the groundbreaking research in recent years didn't come out of academia other than the compute constraint. Lesson number 2 is that I think what I learned from having built Lora is just the power of enabling people to create more. At the time when I was at Microsoft, I had 2 projects at the same time. One is Lora, the other is better hyperparameter tuning for huge models using theories of deep learning. And I actually had a favorite paper, and it was the second one. And my manager was telling me, well, I think Lora is actually going to be a much bigger deal. And he was very much correct. And I think both papers enabled a lot of really cool applications, but Lora really empowered a lot of people, and communities came out of it, and we're all here as a community, and I think never underestimate the power of that. And the third lesson is probably the most important one, which is before you name anything, Google it first. Happy hacking, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Questions?
Okay, thank you for talking over. 2 questions, I'll get to the point. Number 1, maybe this is really naive and just making explicit, maybe something assumed. Low rank decomposition, is it really true that if you had represented in matrix A, it's like you left multiple matrix U and U transpose to like project A onto a smaller rank? Oh.
Yeah, I think you got the intuition right.
Okay.
Yeah, so like your for any matrices, you can do singular value decomposition.
Yeah.
And then if you throw away some of the singular values that are on the smaller side, you get an approximation to the original matrix.
Wow. Okay.
And there are many ways to understand it. It's like
yeah, exactly.
Back to undergrad linear algebra.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And to like your paper, and has most of your work been focused on Lora's onto LLMs? And today's hackathon is like text and image. Do you have any work experience with text and image, and if you did, insights?
Yeah, I think what happened back then was the image models in 2021 just didn't really work. And also there weren't as many big image models. So Lora only makes sense, and you see the most benefit when the model is really, really big. And today diffusion models are like that. In terms of tips for making it work better for image models, I'll defer to our other speakers, and I'm sure there are a lot of experienced people who have tinkered with it a lot more than I did.
Thanks.
So I'm curious about this more abstract concept of controllable image generation. How broad do you think Lora or techniques expanded on it could become? So for example, like control net, could it be implemented via Lora styles? Is that, or IB Lora is another great example, like you want to target particular subsets of a person's face or of the kind of images that you're dealing with. How do you implement that targeting via Lora? And I guess final, perhaps more general question is, say you want to do multi-Lora or like merge many Loras, is there like a single process that you think would be efficient that would accomplish that instead of some complex pipeline that turns up a Lora?
Yeah, I think that on the question of how do I see like Lora being applied to like these different, being combined with these different controllable generation techniques, I think what's interesting about Lora is like what I said earlier, it's so general where whenever you have a matrix and you're like using that matrix as a linear operator, you can in principle apply Lora. So therefore, all of the techniques we talked about before, adapter, prefix tuning, and I think there are many other ways nowadays people can adapt a model. You can all actually combine them with Lora. We have a control net. Parameters of the control net are matrices, and you just combine them. And to me, it's almost like Lora is this really low-level operator that you can apply to any applications. And then what people build on top of it, it's almost, there's this separation of concern. So I'd say it's almost agnostic, and LoRa will just be a tool in the tool belt. In your tool belt, where whenever you have a chance to adapt something with a lot of parameters, you should be asking the question, okay, do I need to adapt all the parameters? And for those parameters, do I need to adapt with full specificity? Can I do it in a LoRa way? And the last question you had was
like multi-LoRa,
multi-LoRa.
multi-seed compositions of LoRa's.
Right, composition of LoRa's.
Yeah.
So I think there's a right way to do it, and there's definitely a wrong way to do it. And I think a lot of people were doing it definitely the wrong way, which is you have 10 different LoRa modules according with different attributes. So Jeremy was telling me there's face LoRa, background LoRa, and yesterday I learned that apparently there are feet LoRa as well. That's I mean, you have all of these different styles that are not conflicting, and you want to combine them. And the wrong way to do it would be to take the LoRa parameters and add them up. And I wish I have a whiteboard here, but the math doesn't work out because you have cross terms that shouldn't be there. Better way to do it would be you have you batch the 10 together, and then as the input goes through these 10 modules, and then you kind of process them separately. So there you minimize the cross term. So you kind of it's more close. It's more close to as if you are just using LoRa's individually. In practice, I think that should help. As a researcher, I think it makes more sense in principle. Whether it helps in practice and what's the best practice.
Is that a published research result that we can pull from GitHub, or are you suggesting we build that?
I'm suggesting you guys can give it a try. To me, it's very obvious that the way that people were using it before was wrong.
And if you want to hang out and implement it, feel free.
One more?
Oh, sure. So,
Yeah, are you familiar with Matryoshka embeddings?
What embeddings?
Matryoshka embeddings?
I'm not.
Okay, well, then.
All right.
Then there's this, I do think that you have a lot of similarities with what Aditya's work is on Matryoshka embeddings, and I wanted to compare and contrast.
Is that like the Russian doll?
No, that's the Russian doll one. So like basically kind of ordering the weights so that you don't have to do any rank adaptation. You can just slice the last few weights that you don't want, and makes it more efficient. But it's a similar philosophy without the linear algebra that you do.
Yeah, I've heard of like similar lines of work. Like it's actually, I read this paper that's super cool, which is if you actually take a trained model and you decompose the weights in some of the later layers, and then you throw away some of those smaller singular directions. It actually makes the model perform better. I don't know if it's the same paper. Maybe
It's
not.
like a generalization thing, a regularization.
Yeah, but I think it's a little different, as in, or at least for that line of work, it's given a model, how do you actually throw away some of the directions for efficiency gain? Whereas here is during training,
Yeah,
we need
it's
to
a
train.
fine-tune. Yeah.
okay, let's hear it for Edward Him. Someone please implement that. Okay, so from Thal, we have Burkay here. He actually has done the creation of an incredibly high quality company that has Flux at 1 second or less, that trains LoRa's very, very quickly.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to having everyone get on to Thal right now. So everyone please take out your laptop. And you should have received a particle message in Slack. If you're in the Slack channel, you can see the relevant link, and also you should have gotten your email. Those all have two things. They have the Thal credit set, and they have the Thal link to creating a LoRa. And so situate yourself and make sure that you have a few images that are sort of ready to go, so that you can create a custom model. And it can be done training in the context of this presentation. So yeah, it's super fast. And so let's thank Burkay for coming, for talking, and for giving us thoughts.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, hopefully this is a good transition into the LoRa image realm. Maybe not, I'm not going to cover too much of the research side, but yeah, would love to tell you about what we do. So FAL is a generative media platform for developers, and our focus is basically image models, video models, text to speech, speech to text, anything but LLMs essentially. And I would love to show you this Flux trainer that we have, Flux Lora trainer that we have, that is like extremely fast. So just to continue on Edward's story, basically like the first time, to my knowledge, that Lora was applied to the image domain was this Korean researcher. His name is Simo. He goes by Kolonov Simo. You might know him on Twitter. He basically applied it to the image domain. I think he was one of the first repos. So he's actually the head of research at FAL right now. And he joined a couple weeks ago, and we tasked him, this one thing where we were like, hey, like this stuff is taking like 40 minutes right now to train like a face Lora. Can we bring it down? And we put in some work, and we actually got it like down to four minutes. So the link I shared here, I'll just like jump right into the demo. So this is FAL. You can go to this link. It's in the Slack channel. There's also some credits here if you click here. AGI now is the coupon code. And so yeah, you just go here and you
Burkay,
add
maybe
your.
show directly from the FAL website how to get there.
Let's do that too. So you might land here when you come in, and you can search for train Lora. Let's see. Oh, actually, yeah.
The banner is easy.
You go here, and then you can hit training, and train Flux Lora fast. Or you can. There's also in the banner, train a Flux Lora fast training. This is another way to get there. And once you do that, you can add images. These are my face images. And hopefully by the end of this talk, we have something. And for trigger word, we recommend OHWX, men helps. Like for gender, you can put a gender or leave it out. OHWX man, OHWX woman. For products, you can say just OHWX. It's just a random word, so it doesn't like mix the concepts. I'll paste this here. And there's some more tips here. So for general experimentation, if you just want something like less than 5 minutes, you set iter multiplier to 1. And if you want like a identity preservation for faces or like product images, we recommend you go with like 1.5. So you can increase that here. And for style, and we recommend like 8 to 20 images for faces and products. And for style, like more images, 20 to 100, and iter multiplier 2 to 4. Maybe start with 2 and then see how it goes, and then you can up it. And yeah, let's give it a go. And once this is going, I'll show you how to do inference. So now that the model is trained, we can do some generations on it. So once it's complete, you'll have a bunch of buttons here. And so there's a way to like upload it to Hugging Face, so like you can share it with more people. I'm not gonna go into that, but the basically to generate you can hit run inference. So we'll click here. This is a previous training I did, and I'll copy a prompt that I had from before. And basically if you go down here, you'll see because you clicked on run inference, it actually pastes this Lora link, right? So it's basically giving that like small file essentially, which is the Lora. So in order to apply it, you put it here. But we automatically fill it. So if you just click run inference, you don't have to actually put this in. It'll just be there. So I have a prompt here, OHWX man wearing a top hat, blah blah, sign that says AGI house in the back. And let's give it a go. I'll make it like landscape. And boom, that's me.
Cool.
Definitely me.
Okay, so quick questions. First and foremost, raise your hand. Did you make it to the FAL website? Did you
Yeah.
make it to the website? Okay.
Cool.
if you didn't, can you like pull out your laptop or make sure you can get there? Who has started a training run already? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so sorry to break it to you, everyone's gonna start a training run right now. We are going to go until 50% of the people in this room have started your training run. So you are all now holding one another up. Please open the FAL website. And the tricky part of the process might be just grab a single JPEG anywhere on your computer, compress it, or drop it in, and click train. I'll check in 60 seconds to see what it's like. But
Wow.
you guys all have silent FAL time.
I can help if anyone needs help.
Does it have to label each image?
Go.
No, it's just like that one thing we put in.
Yeah.
That's good enough for certain things. And then we have some magic in the back
Yeah.
happening for like captioning.
If you think it's too cool to train a model, you're not. You got this.
You gotta do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, you gotta create an account. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
With
Yeah,
using
GitHub.
using
Yeah.
GitHub.
Yeah. You need a GitHub account. So when you go here, you can say sign up
Or get started.
and continue with GitHub. So if you don't have a GitHub account, create a GitHub account. You should have one.
Yeah, to be clear, Replicate also has a login with GitHub process, so make sure you're logged in with GitHub regardless of whether you're.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question in the meantime?
Sure.
So this is a very beginner Laura question. As let's say we're training for a product, right? We're training for all birds.
Yeah.
We're just going to do one type of shoe, right? Because we can't do all the types of shoes at
Sure.
once, right? One product at a time.
Sure.
That's an assumption I'm making here.
Sure.
How about colors? Am I going to do one Laura for dark gray and cream and gray with black, or am I going to do a custom Laura for every color combo? How can I develop these intuitions? Do you have thoughts on that?
Right, so I'll just give you an example right here. So we trained like this Nike shoe
Yeah.
that is just like a white Nike shoe. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
And, you know, it takes a lot of experimentation, right? So I was like, how does it do with color? And I tried it out. So this says like, you know, white leather upper, right, with black accents, right? So let's try it with like black leather upper with black accents. And let's see how it turns out.
And the input set was white with black.
Yeah, it was just what you saw.
Okay, quick cut. Hands up if you started your Flux training. So we had 2 before, 1. Okay, we're getting there, but it seems like we still need 1 more minute. Please log in via GitHub. I believe in you. Apply your credits. Find any photo on your computer. Drop it into the trainer and pick up.
Yeah.
Super cool. How many images did you put in?
This was like 8, I think.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So not too many. And I think it was trained with like 1.x multiplier.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so it's super neat. I mean, it works with colors. So I like the thing is like as long as it's not overfit,
Yeah.
it can actually like do these type of things, which is really nice. Yes.
Any like rule of thumb of like image quality, image size?
Yeah, as high quality as it can be, that definitely helps. We do resizing as part of the pipeline, so you don't have to like think about resizing. Just make sure they're like larger than like 1,000 by 1,000 is pretty good. Go ahead.
What model are you using for captioning?
Captioning is actually ChatGPT. Yes,
So to be
and
clear,
it's not.
that is the vision API of GPT-4.
Yes.
Correct.
That's right. Yes,
Just make sure.
yes. I said ChatGPT. I'm sorry. It's GPT-4.
Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, so the magic number is 21. So raise your hand. Sorry, no questions. We're just going to finish up.
Sure. I'll get back to you.
Raise your hand high if you've started training your model.
Wow.
Keep your hand up. Hand up and keep it up if you can. I need 5 more people to finish.
Did it finish for you?
Not yet. It's completing the linklets.
Cool. So this one I just started in the beginning. It's done, 6 minutes. So
I'm still uploading the images.
Okay, if you haven't already put your hand up and you start, put your hand up. We have 3 more to go. Yeah, I got you. I believe in this. Come on. Yeah, it probably finished already.
it's working? Great. Congrats, you did it.
Okay, anyone who did not have their hand up, whose hand is up now? Oh, okay, one, okay, 2 more.
I didn't quite catch what was the trigger word about?
Trigger word is basically like, it's the pair you're using. It's like basically when you're training, right? You're training it. You need a text, like a prompt, and an image. So that trigger word is basically saying, hey, this image is this word. So when I give you that word again, generate that style, right? So it's basically to, yeah, you're prompting the model essentially to pick on the training you did.
I'm done.
Oh, is it you? Okay, one more person. Is there a single person who's
Almost there.
Right.
Okay, now that's good. Okay.
Jeremy, you're doing a great job. I think this might be the largest
Okay.
communal lore
Okay.
training exercise.
Hey, a round of applause for 50% of you.
Guinness record. Most lore training in a single room.
One for the record book.
I mean, this is not complicated. Okay, so everyone should get it done without.
Free
you can
credits,
finish your
people
talk.
are asking.
Oh yeah, so I'll finish, yeah. So free credits is here. So you just click on here. If you click, while you're logged in, click on this. It's in the Flux Lora channel or like $coupon equals AGI now. And if you run out of credits, come find me or Gurkem, the guy with the hat.
Me.
Go ahead.
I was being quick application and I did not put a trigger word in the first beginning session.
Sure.
What is the application that I started, another one?
Yeah, just do another one. We might have a default, but just to be safe, just do another one.
Second question, like these recommendations, you have guidance like this on the internet that we can read afterwards, like how many images to put on, how many images. Is there a guide that's on there?
There is no guide, unfortunately, but like feel free to ask in the channel. Yeah.
Trigger words, like is there some suggestions, like is that something you want?
I mean, you can stick to that. If you're gonna stack LoRa's, I can show you. Like if you're using multiple LoRa's, it's good to use another one. So as long as you're not gonna use multiple, you can just stick to that one.
Yeah, I ran into an error problem where if you use 2 LoRa's, then both people try to look like the other person.
Yes. And that was a question I should come to. We don't have a solution, but we should chat.
Oh, you should have come right now.
There was something called like Zip LoRa. We didn't try it. I don't know if you've seen it. Zip LoRa. It like tries to. Yeah.
You don't really have to share additional.
Give this man a contrast.
Let's do it. Let's see.
So this thing is, it's a big issue. Scenes are
columns.
Yes. For styles, by the way, you can actually put like as a trigger word. You can actually put your style in there. You can have like hand-drawn images, and then you'll say like a photo in hand-drawn style, and like that will work pretty well too.
Okay, final adherence check. If you did not finish a LoRa, please raise your hand. Okay. Okay. We will come help you after the setup. Okay. So the adherence session is over. Let's get our attention. Hey guys, can you guys stop talking for attention back to the now founder, and we're gonna finish up the talk. If you have questions, feel free to keep those in mind. But let's hear it.
Let's do it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can generate images with the LoRa's. You can also stack them, right? So if you click more here, there is a way to add another LoRa, right? So you click add item. It's more advanced stuff. If you want to do this, come find us. And I'll go back to the slides. Yeah, so if you haven't been able to claim the credits, come find us. These are the links. I'll share the slides in the channel, so you can just go to these. And then prizes. So we're giving $1,000 cash for most likely to go viral, right? And $1,000 in fall credits. And 500 and 250 for second and third place in FAL credits. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And follow us on X at FAL, F-A-L, and you can send us an email. We're hiring Burkay at FAL or Görkem at FAL. And come find us, say hi.
Woo! Questions for Burkay?
Oh yeah.
Any questions?
Questions? Go ahead.
I think this is a little bit more general about the LoRa process.
Sure.
But can you explain the role of GPT-4o in the? Because I noticed, like, yeah, it generates these like descriptions of the images.
Yes. So I guess like the best way to think about it is like when you're fine-tuning a model, you're giving it pairs, right? That's like how the model is trained to begin with. It's a pair of text and image. And if you just keep giving it like short descriptions, just like OHWX man or something, it's just ignoring all the things that are in the background, right? So it like if you have a picture of me, there's like this thing there, and like there's this thing, you know, and you're just saying, hey, this is OHWX man, and it's just like, well, what about these other things? So if you make it very detailed, right, and that's what the vision model is giving you. So it's creating the prompts. So it can pick out like the common thing in the images, which is my face, or that product, and the other stuff it can learn to ignore.
So is it just basically appending that to your OHXW?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
do the best LoRa trainers hand annotate their images?
You can certainly do it. I think this, like, our goal with this is, if you use the API, you can pass like custom captions files and things like that. Yeah, so you can totally do that. This is just like to make it super easy, right? It's just like, it's just there automatically. But if you pass the captions file, we ignore the auto-generated captions.
What's the largest number of images you can handle, or like the size you can handle?
I think we just bumped it up to 1,000 because people like to do like crazy style trainings.
Oh, wow.
So if you're, I don't know, scraping all of Hollywood or something, you can put 1,000 images and like do like a certain movie style or something like that. But it's 1,000 max, I think.
Okay. I plan on using it.
Cost
Great.
is not a function of.
What was that?
Cost a function of how many images I do now.
Yeah, so the cost is, well, it's ideally free for everyone today, but the cost is $2 for iter 1, which is equivalent to 1,000 steps. So that's $2 per. And if you add more images, we do some things like to actually fix the number of steps. So you don't have to, it doesn't go up by images, essentially. Yeah, more images doesn't mean, it's just the training time, basically.
Yeah, Replica is basically the same price, $2 per LoRa. So it's basically
more images.
Yeah, I think like 10 to 20 for faces is good. For styles, we do recommend more images. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry if this was already asked before. If you don't include the trigger word,
Sure.
would you still be able to invoke the LoRa by maybe it had learned simple fixtures using faces and then project on?
You might be able to. I gotta check. If there's like a default thing we're setting, it might work. Let me come find you after, and we can look at it. If not, just to be safe, just like do another one with a trigger word, and then I'll come find you.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any final question for the founder of that? Going once? Going good? Okay. Thank you. Okay. We have our second talk from Replicate. Now, Replicate is a fantastic company with a long history with AGI House. They were actually discovered at one of our hackathons by A16G 2 years ago, leading to big raise. And so, if you're working on your company, fledgling, feel free to reach out, and maybe you'll be a part of a new big raise. But actually, they came out very early with a custom LoRa trainer that a ton of people have been using. So Levels has been using it and showed it off. I've been using it a ton. It works very well. So let's hear it for Replicate.
Okay, welcome everybody. Awesome to be here. Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about how you use Replicate to do your Flux Lora fine tuning and also your predictions. Have everybody gotten a chance to sign up for Replicate? No. One no. Yeah, so take just go and sign up for Replicate. We also have in the Slack channel, there's a link where you can get $50 worth of credits, so you can do all your trainings and all of that stuff. And this is going to mirror a little bit what we just heard, so I'll be pretty brief. But I'll walk you through a simple example of also how to fine tune a model on Replicate. So I come to the Replicate and I say create training. Selected new model name. I put together a couple of images. I like national parks, so I picked a bunch of pictures from like the national parks posters, and then I've zipped them up. Just create a zip file, which I then drag into the website. Again, like we heard in the previous presentation, pick a trigger word. It can be whatever, but aim for it to be not like a very common word. Most of the rest you can just leave as default, and then just click train, and then a couple of minutes later you'll have a model running. Once your model is set up, you can very easily run predictions with it. And I've put in a prompt where I said I want a mountain and a landscape, including my trigger word. And I've also here, and we'll talk about that in a second. I've also here mixed it in with another LoRa model. You can pick aspect ratio and all that. Typically, the defaults work pretty well. But what I've also done here is you can actually stack the LoRa's on top of each other. So somebody at Replicate has trained a LoRa on Mona Lisa's face. So we'll see what happens when we combine that one with the one that we trained to generate more like kind of postcard type images.
Okay, so 60 minutes for adherence. Everyone do quietly implement your Replicate law.
Yeah. So again, just grab. You can do one image. We recommend maybe 10 if you have them. But yeah, zip it up and just push it in. And then if we start a run.
Yeah. I'll check in 50 seconds.
Wait, so before you were on one that was like Ostrus, now you're on this one. Do you recommend which one to?
So you use this Ostrus to create to create the training, and then it will then show up on the it will show up on your own account as your own model, and that's where you then run your prediction. Yeah, now it's putting up. As I was playing around with this, I feel I may have done a little bit of mistake in the example I picked, because one was to generate photorealistic images and the other one was more like postcard styles. So I'm sure you all will generate much better images than I have.
Okay, that's 60 seconds. So please raise your hand if you have trained LoRa on Replicate. 1, 2. Okay, you guys are clearly not serious. I just sent it out over Particle as well over Slack. Please go to the Replicate LoRa page, drop in a zip file of images in it, create a LoRa trainer. We have to hit 50%, so stop holding up with the people around you. You got this, I believe in you. Let's give it 1 minute and 30 seconds. I will be very impressed if in 90 seconds, half of this room raises their hand that they have successfully created a replication. Good luck.
Yeah. Cool. And now here I have my image, and we see kind of like more like the kind of postcard type background, and yeah, I recognize those eyes. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
How do you stack the Mona Lisa on again?
It's down here at the bottom, where you can put in you can put in an extra LoRa. Of course, this can also all be done fully programmatically, so you can You can create your own model using Python.
So you have to create a model to train a Lora?
Yes, so the output of the fine tuning is a new model that will show up like under your own account. And you can use the APIs to pretty much do everything I already did. You get images, and please read a lot more about how to fine tune Flux on our website. There's some really good examples. Yeah, here are our prices again.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah, so just
I'm experiencing some sort of
And if anybody has any problems, just yeah.
For some reason, I won't upload the zip file. I figure out what I'm doing wrong.
The hardware is.
So you guys running issues where you can't?
It will override it. It would override
I
it for
can't
you.
upload the zip.
Yeah, it started already. Is it only like one image per upload?
No, you can put as many as you want into the zip file. So you take your images, you zip them out, and upload a zip file.
Like, do you have a list of all the default things you recommend for the other fields, or should we just not?
Just use the defaults that are listed under there.
Okay.
That is it.
I had a question. What number of training steps would you suggest? And maybe is it dependent on the number of images?
I would just stick with the default.
Oh, just stick to it.
Yeah, I think it's 1,000.
Okay, check-in time. Please raise your hand if you have a replicate Lora on the way. Keep your hand up. Raise your hand, keep your hand up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're about halfway there with 11 folks. Okay, what is challenging about it? Is anyone getting an error? 12.
Yeah, I'm not able to upload the zip file.
Okay.
I can't upload the zip.
I can't upload the zip file. It's
Can you do it with a just standard? I think it also takes standard images.
Does it?
No.
No, just zip files.
Oh, it's only files.
Yeah.
I just use the zip file, so I'm not sure. Are you getting an error?
No,
Yeah,
it
it just doesn't register.
just doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Can you do drag and
Make
drop
sure
it?
your zip file doesn't have another zip, like folder, like, or,
Make sure
or
what?
one or the other.
The zip file doesn't have what in it?
Like, so this is sometimes confusing. You can zip to folder, or you can zip like 5 images. Like,
That is a folder. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, zip the images, not the
Got
folder.
it. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Okay. I also
Yeah, I just looked for images and it's still not.
Okay, got it.
Or for it is.
Well.
Okay, quick question. If you've gotten it done, everyone who's done, hold your hand up.
Mine is running.
Yeah.
Running? Yeah, if it's just running. Yeah, you don't have to get the footage.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
it's only at 2%.
Okay, I just need to get a count. So everyone, if your thing is training, put your hand up, keep it all the way up. Only keep your hand down if yours is not already training.
Do you like GZ style zip? No, just zip file.
Just regular zip file.
Yeah, it's not working. Maybe it's
Okay, keep put your
Windows.
hands down. So we need 4 more to finish the replicate setup. If you're not done, can you put your hand up? Maybe we can help you. What are you guys running into?
Same zip.
You started? Okay. Are you started? Okay, so it's
We can look at the zip file a bit separate.
Yeah, I'm gonna try
Oh, you got it?
doing it on the command line.
So 2 more left, 2 more. Looking for 2 more. So when you complete, you put your hand up. Okay, 1 more. Anyone? I already got it. Okay. 1 more person. for one more person to finish up structuring. Okay, if you're not done, can you raise your hand? Check in. What do you, are
I
you?
just got a image input error. I'm trying again.
Image input. Okay,
Yeah.
image does the same thing?
Cannot identify image file for PNG.
Okay, okay. So we're running this. So you guys didn't make it. Good.
He's
Yeah, I
trying to
got
do
it.
it.
Okay, well, I will count the two failed attempts as replicates issue and not our issue. And say,
I tried uploading a smaller zip. It didn't. 80
So-
megabyte zip. It didn't work. So it didn't work.
Okay, but it seems like all of you got foul Laura's up, so you should still be good to go. Okay, anything else on the presentation?
No, just any questions either right now or I'll be here and just come and find me. Happy hacking.
Okay, let's hear it for Replicate. All right. So with that, we have a compute provider. So we're going to hear a talk from Nebius. So Nebius AI is a company that basically has their own custom GPU cluster. They manage their cluster, so it's not like they're just a wrapper over clusters. They have a real data center. And they were part of Russia until the war started, at which point they started cooperating with folk in the West. So I think they're in parts of Europe, Sweden, their data centers, somewhere in Northern Europe. They're a compute sponsor for the day, and so we have 20 GPUs from them. So if you want to, say, take on the research task of creating a custom variant of LoRa for identifying face elements, or if you want to try Edward's research idea for basically splitting up the mathematics to basically have different parts of the unit to be subject to different constraints, you can use their compute to do it. Certainly any creative projects. Here, talk to Nebius.
My name is Justin, and I had no idea I was talking until 6 o'clock this morning, so I don't have any prepared.
Do you want me to go after?
Do what?
You're talking to
Well, I don't want to follow.
Okay.
So, unless y'all are cool with me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we are a GPU provider. Like Jeremy was saying, our data center is in Finland, and we are providing the GPUs for a day. Not just H100, but we do also have A100, L40S. The thing that we're set out to do is to be able to provide GPU as a service, right? So if you wanted to be able to use it for the hour, for the day, for the month, for the year, we want to be flexible and be able to provide compute as it's needed, right? There are other providers out there that, will try to get you into contracts and stuff like that, and that's the thing of our bag. We just want to be out there to be able to provide compute resources so people can continue to evolve and create their technology and just harness the power of the future. So we're happy to sponsor this, and I'm actually here really to be able to listen to y'all and get feedback from y'all. If you choose to use the platform, what you like about it, what you don't, and our chief business officer has direct lines of communication with Jeremy in this event and is really eager to hear about what's good, what's bad, so that we can make sure that we provide the best service and the best product that we possibly can. That's pretty much it. Jeremy's got a thing that he can send out to the different teams that for the 20 GPUs that we provided, and I can answer any questions if you have any. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so Nebius is in fact giving you free GPU access. So do listen up. We're gonna put you guys all on Nebius if you want to use their GPUs for your project. I just channeled the Slack with their code and with the login link. Basically, you've decided to create an account on Nebius. So do take that login link, create an account, and then go to this link to get your credentials.
Jeremy put an overview in the Slack channel, and I also replied in that thread with the attachment with everything in it.
And so do go ahead and sign up right now. I'll also send it out over email and Particle in case people prefer that.
Sorry if you just said that, but it's asking for a username and password.
I,
So you go to the local.
yeah, so I would log in first and then try to use the credential stuff.
So you gotta create an account.
Yes. So yeah, everyone will have to create an account, and it's not like GitHub. It's genuine. You know, you create an account. Okay, so we should find the account creation. Let me send out the account creation. Sorry, that's my fault. I should have sent that to you. So the link that I just sent out has a login with Google option, and that'll let you sign into your Nebius AI. Once you have logged in with Google, you can use the existing credentials link to give yourself GPU votes. What's up?
The picture check.
Oh yeah. Oh no way.
I did a bunch of
That's all we-
family
all you
photos.
do.
It's a bunch of like.
Oh no, that's awesome. That's pretty good.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
you're
good.
doing the photos.
It's kind of creepy. Yeah, I'm in the
Yeah,
photo.
probably is. That's awesome. Authentication takes about 50 seconds. Okay, and so when you get Hackathon credentials, you will actually get a username and password. You'll go into the link, the login link that I sent you before, and use that username and password in order to claim your credentials. Okay, lots of code. Let's get back into work. Okay, I will cut on the Nebius process because it's taken quite a bit of time. So let's keep moving. But if you want to use it, it's free credit access. Okay, and so we're going to transition to lightning talks. Basically, you'll have an opportunity to pitch your Flux Lora idea, and we're going to start with Rob Knoll. Rob, are you here?
All right.
Okay, Rob, bring it up. So Rob will be giving us a lightning talk about e-commerce product photo shoots, ideally one shot. So if you'd like to work with Rob, do listen up.
Cool.
Ooh.
Cool. Hi everyone, Robert. So at a hackathon 2 years ago, I built one of the first in Figma image generation plugins, and it's grown to tens of thousands of users, and big brands have used it. And one of the most common requests that we've gotten is, hey, can you generate new images with our products? So one of our customers is actually Allbirds. It's just like one person within Allbirds, it's not like an enterprise deal. But for this hack, I was like, well, how hard would it be to create really nice photo shoots? We have their like all the prompts that they've used to generate guidance for their photographers. The only thing preventing them from actually productionizing the images that this other tool generates is that they're not featuring their actual products. So that's what we want to do today. This is I just fine-tuned or Lora Flux using both Replicate and FAL, and the results are awesome. So it's very promising. Create something very simple, ship it hopefully in a couple hours, maybe get some customers. My name's Robert. Find me on Slack.
Okay, Ernst Young is up, talking about supporting local trainings from command line for deployment. Let's hear from Ernst.
Hi. Oh my, H5 or no? No H5. Oh, thanks. Okay. Oh, this just mirrors it, or like, all right. Okay, so while I have this going, I'll just talk about a couple of ideas I have. So how I see things are like, smaller. Okay, so there are a couple of areas of LoRa training that are possible to tackle. Images and plus prompts and generating them into some data set. It seems like Replicate is running Llama on the images. That's why you're not having to write like long prompts for each of them. And that's one possible project. And then training LoRa's seems to be the focus for today's hackathon. I just want to submit to you that for once you have the LoRa in save tensor format, etc., plus Flux, I do have a solution to run them locally, and I've configured the creation of them with configuration YAMLs, and I just submit that respectfully, there's Midjourney. There are some of the providers today that provide a GUI. What I've done is just like, hey, maybe I wanted to explore the entire range of guidance scale from 1 to 7, or explore how changing like the width and height, would make my image better or possible, and like you can do that like locally, and so. So yeah, I'm able to generate an image locally, and for some of the images I've been able to generate just sitting here right now include sorry about this, guys.
So until lightning talks, so do finish up.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. This is like without any LoRa's, and what I notice about Flux is that like the faces are almost like the same. They almost look the same, but with LoRa's, you can provide faces or images where they don't look all the same. They're kind of smoothed out. Okay. Thank you.
So I have an idea for a very general app. The idea is to create an extension that modifies Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and really everywhere where you see photos of people. And basically, it'll be an app that creates a space to type a prompt at the top of a person's Instagram profile, for example, or your own Instagram profile if you like. And that box will trigger the creation of a LoRa on file, which once trained will generate images that accord with the description that you put on the account. And so it'll probably have to go through each person's face, grab their, subset of photos that are about them, like not all photos are gonna be about a person. But basically, you should be able to use it in order to go to the account of any one of your friends and just for fun, create a LoRa of them, doing nothing but just describing an image of them in the top corner. The LoRa gets created. Once it's created, it's saved and instantiated as a LoRa of yours. And so all you have to do is sort of install this extension, and suddenly the web opens up as being totally customizable when it comes to images. So if you'd like to build this extension with me, I'm down. The setup is pretty simple. We're going to use InstaLoader or something like it in order to grab the Instagram images. It might be public only until we put a browser extension that grabs the images, but basically, as long as you're in browser in the Chrome extension, you should be good to go. And then use the FAL API in order to create a LoRa. That'll be initialized when the person puts in some query. And then I'm imagining basically just downloading the images directly to their machine once they're received from the FAL API, which gets called as soon as the LoRa is set up. So yeah, simple server backend, extension calls the server, takes those images, creates a LoRa, calls FAL, and those images get sent back to the user when they're done. Shouldn't be too painful, quick adventure, in, out, hopefully revolutionize Instagram forever. Should be fun. Any other impromptu lightning talks? I know those are all that were signed up to.
Mine is not too dissimilar from Jeremy's, but is more about like the style of particular sets of ads. There are running companies, for example, athletic companies that have a very particular type of style. This one is Saucony, one of my favorite running shoe brands. And you can see that it has a number of athletes' footwear with a type of gritty endurance feel. I mean, that's a lot of the theme behind long distance running, to kind of grit it out, and that's kind of what a lot of long distance runners look for in running shoes. Essentially, can we consume a number of ads? It doesn't necessarily have to be from Instagram, but like just historical ads that have been deployed from Saucony and then churn out new ones. And I think this, combined with historical performance of different ads, would give a system like this a pretty good idea of which ads will perform well in the future. So the commercial ability of a tool like this is pretty obvious. To go to Saucony and say, right now, to produce any ad, you need a director, a photographer, you need to pay them quite a lot. It's a very expensive process. Here's the set of ads we've already created for you historically, and we have a large amount of confidence that they will perform well. If you deploy them right now, a system like this could essentially go into a system that monitors when ads get stale and could replace them in very, very quickly. So that's a different project that I have been working on, but essentially something like this would fit into a system like that pretty well. If this is something that interests you, please do talk to me. Thanks.
Any other lightning talks? Any project that you'd like to jump up into?
We have one here. I have one.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna build this, but it's a great idea. Someone. Everyone knows him, Mr. Beast. Somewhere, I don't know, but he talks about how he spends a ton of time creating these YouTube thumbnails, and he actually experiments with them. He keeps changing, and then he follows how the views are growing, and then he changes the photos. So here's a good one. I think this is a perfect use case for training a LoRa on his face or anyone else's face and create an app that will do this reaction or like a YouTube thumbnail reaction for you and generate multiple images of this so that you can experiment with your next YouTube video. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Simple, and you can do it in a couple hours and definitely useful. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, cool. Hi everybody, I'm Aditya. I'm not sure how many we have the time to do this project today, but I think it's pretty good. I think people will pay $10 if you let them upload their photo and upload a bunch of photos they want to be in. They'll just be happy to see that. And from what I've seen today, that seems like a great price. Like put me in these photos, put my friend in these photos. There's multiple people in the photos. The first draft, you can just reject them, like one-to-one. But then if you have time, you can also insert people into movie posters, things like that. Seems straightforward. Just throw it out there. Thanks.
Any other ideas? Going once?
So workshopping this, but the idea is to create comics out of books in the public domain. So let's say you want to see a comic from 1984, we pull all the images associated with it that we can find on Google. We train LoRa on it, and we try to create a comic report. That's the idea.
Okay, so that is the final lightning proposal. Yeah, it's 2 p.m. on a Saturday. Endless potential in the air. Remember that your creativity is the limit. There's so many insane ideas that you can come up with right now, build and ship, and no one can stop you. The tools are in your hands. This stuff was just released and is totally photorealistic, and who knows like what will happen to, yeah, I guess the state of believability, to our conception of fantasy or reality. I had a friend yesterday tell me after seeing LoRa's of her that her conception of herself had changed. Hopefully you have some existential experience in the face of your LoRa generation. So I guess just a reminder of the winnings. There's a huge replicate prize, 1,000 for the best use and 1,000 for the research prize if you create the LoRa. FAL also has a $1,000 prize and a ton of credits for the biggest launch. So huge launches, strongly encouraged. Do set up your tweet storms. AGI is putting out a maximum revenue prize, so whoever makes the most money in the next 6 hours, you will win a prize. Real-time interactive, best project reach, top project prize winner, so best project overall, and then the best mobile app. Lunch is set up for you guys, so you should be good to go on food. Any last minute questions before we set off the next one? Everyone good? Okay. Some details. There's a bathroom here and a bathroom in the bottom floor. This house is 4 stories, and so feel free to spread out on this floor, the floor below, the floor below that. Lunch is provided for you. I guess last comment from me, like this is actually the beginning of what I think will be an incredible adventure in totally photorealistic custom image generation. It's going to terminate in totally photorealistic people inside of videos. It's going to have character consistency in videos and story generation and illustration. And for the rest of time, humanity's process for telling stories is not going to be the same. So you get to author that story in a small way today. Do an incredible job. Can't wait to see what you build. Let's have it. Feel free to eat. Yeah.